Cool. My name is Klaus, and I'm the founder of DocEverywhere. My generation loves traveling, right? One reason you guys chose EIT and why I chose EIT was the part of living abroad. So I basically want to tell you guys my story of living abroad. In 2018, after my studies in Spain and France, I decided to move to Medellin, Colombia, without having been there before and without knowing the language. So during the last 2 years, I had a really great time there. By then, I faced a really, really bad situation. And probably you guys have seen the Netflix show Narcos and you Googled Colombia once, or you saw something in the newspaper or in the TV, and you saw that Colombia is always associated with drugs, cocaine, paramilitary, kidnapping, and so on. But this is only one small part of Colombia's history. Because today, Colombia is a super nice and innovative country with beautiful landscapes, the best coffee in the world, and it's really the best coffee in the world, and the most amazing people. But yeah, if not violence and crime has been the reason for my bad situation, what else could it be? And this can happen in every single country in the world. And it happened also to me beforehand while living like in developed countries like in Spain and in France. So what happened to me? I got super sick. And so what did I do? In the beginning, I thought just getting some medicine and staying in the bed is sufficient. But yeah, at some point, my situation got worse. So I decided to ask Google because Google knows everything, right? But then I realized Google actually doesn't know everything. And I couldn't find an English speaking doctor in Medellin. And of course, no German speaking one, right? So next, I went to the hospital because I had a super bad tonsillitis. I had fever and I was super exhausted. Just imagine you are feeling super sick and now you have to go to a hospital in a country where you actually don't speak the language and where you don't know any people. And then you have to communicate in Spanish at the reception and explain the doctor your symptoms also in Spanish. So I went to the hospital and there was no English speaking doctor. So I went to the emergency department and they didn't treat me because they said, hey, your symptoms are not, it's not an emergency in Colombia. And yeah, of course, no one spoke English, right? So at the end, it took me almost 3 days to find an English speaking doctor and to get treated. And afterwards, I was asking myself, like, am I the only one in the world with this problem? And I quickly realized, no, I'm not. There are millions of people who can't get and probably already got into the situation on a frequent basis. For example, yeah, just a regular tourist or backpackers exploring the world, right? Every day there are so many people who are working in international companies and who are traveling all the time in other countries. Then we have people living abroad for a period of time or even forever, like we did for EIT, right? Or any other exchange student. And there are also more than 60 million expats in the world who are living or working abroad. And especially in these days, there are wars and economic crises all over the world. So there are more than like 70 million refugees who have had to leave their homes, right? And yeah, most of these personas are in countries where they don't, or not on a professional level, speak their language. And yeah, everyone is getting sick at some point. And at least when I'm sick, I'm feeling super uncomfortable and I'm not in the mood trying to learn a new language exactly at this point, right? So I thought, if Google can solve this problem, I have to solve it. So I started developing a chatbot which accessed my doctor database and provided the necessary information. But yeah, then I realized not everyone has a smartphone, and there are, unfortunately, some countries where certain social media messengers are not allowed. So I thought of simplicity first and I created a homepage. Now people all over the world can just simply select the country they are in, the city they are staying in, the language they speak, and the specialization of the doctor they need, right? And by just pushing one single button, they get a list of doctors in that specific city who speak their language, including all contact information, their homepage, and they can directly navigate via Google Maps to the doctor. Yeah, with DocEverywhere today, we are already covering 18 countries in the world, and the goal is also to cover the remaining 176 countries. So we want to become the global brand and the global middleman for finding doctors all over the world. So if you want to know more about how we are becoming the next Airbnb of the healthcare industry, just contact us via email, and most importantly, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And thanks a lot for sticking so well to the time that was given. Let's have a look at some of the questions, starting with the jury members again. Does any of you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, Karin, you can start.
how long have you already been with DocEverywhere, and how many doctors you have connected to this platform?
So I started with DocEverywhere like 1.5 years ago, and I already have more than 500 doctors on my platform.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice. I saw that Philip unmuted himself as well. Do you also want to ask something?
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand if there's a real problem that exists that you're actually solving. So at the most basic level, if you get really ill and go to a hospital in the town, was there no chance of you receiving any treatment?
Yeah, there's a chance that you're not receiving any treatment. And especially in these days, COVID is a great example because like if as you would go to a hospital, like in these days, you shouldn't go to a hospital, right? Because they have so much work to do because of the pandemic, right? And if every foreigner is going to the hospital, yeah, and we are speaking also about countries which are not like highly developed, like we are having here in Europe, like we are like really lucky that we have this kind of healthcare systems here. So if you go,
Does the app, sorry, I'm just interrupting for time. Does the app require connectivity to the internet to function?
So that's not an app, that's a homepage, right? So therefore it needs,
Okay.
it requires
So
it.
therefore, if you can access it, can't you just access Google Translate and say, help, I've got tonsillitis, and give it to me in Spanish?
That could work to a certain point, but Google Translate is also not perfect.
Okay.
And yeah, even I wouldn't know how to describe it best. And if there's a mistake, right, I don't know if Google Translate is on that level to really translate a real medical issue where you also maybe don't know how to explain it, right? And then so that's a problem there.
And how would you monetize?
So yeah, I thought that this question is coming, and in the beginning, I was like asking myself, why do I need to make money by helping people in need for accessing healthcare, right? Because healthcare is a human right. But then I realized, okay, you don't find anyone if you don't make money with it who invests in your company. So there are several revenue streams. First of all, like what's very, very important for me is that for users, it should be free of charge, always, ever, right? And then we have like, just as an example, medical specialists, because you have a ranking system there. So medical specialists can pay for ranking, you can get ads, you can integrate appointment scheduling, you can get a commission for that. You can have like insurances as partners because they are interested in like giving their clients a service. You can even act, if you are the platform at the end, or if you are a global brand, you can act as a co-seller of travel insurances. And also governments, they have huge interest in having such kind of security feeling for their country to attract tourists, or to create kind of incentives for immigrants, or even discharge of hospitals, as I just said, for COVID-19 or for refugees or whatever, right? So there are plenty of revenue streams, especially once you are like a global brand and you have a lot of users on the platform. But in the beginning, I don't want to focus on making money. I want to create a brand, and I want to create a platform which is well known worldwide.
Okay, then I see a question from Karin as well. You're muted again. We still can't hear you, Karin. Maybe I can read out the question to save time. What's the motivation for doctors to join the platform?
Yeah, thank you.
So like I think all over the world, doctors, like, yeah, they say one thing, they have to help people, right? And that's kind of their mission. So they want to help people, especially a lot of doctors, they want to help people, poor people or whatever, right? So that's the first reason. And then whenever we're getting to a next stage, like through ranking, they are like getting more people getting as their clients, and like you have this integrated appointment scheduling. So they have huge interest to be on this platform, to be found by people, because it's kind of sometimes even free advertising for them, right? Because they also need to get clients. And also, for example, in foreign countries, if you go to Asia as like a foreigner, right, and you have a small wound, like, and you have a private insurance, you charge, they charge you $1,000, and to a local they charge you $2, right? So they have also interest, for example, getting foreign clients, right? So there are a lot of reasons why doctors would like to join this platform, because at some point you have to be there, otherwise you're not recognized, especially not by the new generation which is coming, right?
Okay, thanks a lot. As we are almost out of time for this, I think it might be nice to look at the one question from the audience. I'm going to ask Jose Carlos, our voice from the audience, to pick one from the chat.
Yes, so we have a question regarding the vetting process. How do you map or verify the authenticity of the doctors, that they are really able to give you the medical treatment that you require? Do they have to give you any sort of certificate or different document in order to get listed in your platform?
In terms of the language qualification, or what do you mean?
It seems to me the question refers to the skills or the qualifications of the doctor as a medical professional, okay. Someone who's able to properly treat your condition.
Okay. Yeah, so in the beginning, for sure not, because it's super hard to find even these doctors who are speaking different languages. And I have to kind of trust what I can find, right? But on a later stage, especially when it comes to appointment scheduling, then there are only trusted doctors where are contracts and where it's sure that they are actually a doctor, right? But in the beginning, the most important thing for me is just to create this infrastructure for people who are traveling, because I just have been in this situation so often. And on a next level, yeah, there will be a feedback loop where you can give feedback, where you can rate the doctors, and where you can also rate the language level and stuff like that, right? But that I see like as on a later stage where there's more development needed.
Okay, thank you very much, Klaus. Unfortunately, we don't have time for any further questions. There's 2 more in the chat, I think, so you might be able to answer them there to make sure that everyone gets their answer.